Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of South Texas News and Reviews. I'm going to continue on with some of the local topics around here since this is South Texas, and I cover not just Corpus Christi but all points south. But anyway, I think that's enough seconds on the banner. I'll talk to you in just a second. Alright, I think we're recording again. Like I say, this is a one-man show. Hope we don't have any interruptions today. It's possible around here in an empty room. Again, this is Jerry Sansing. I'm the producer and the main investigator, reporter for the South Texas News and Reviews. Last week I did a extensive review of Coastal Bend College. I remember that I had purchased on one of my trips up there when they were firing a good friend of mine for no cause whatsoever that anybody could tell, Dr. Bennett. Then I went ahead and bought some stuff over there in the bookstore at Coastal Bend College, and I said, well, maybe one day if I have to put this on the air, I'll get a Coastal Bend t-shirt, and like I wear them for Las Brisas Energy Center and No Destination Bayfront and several other things. So I decided I'd go ahead and get this, and I want to continue on with the saga at Coastal Bend College, much to Coastal Bend College's dismay. I'm going to move that over just a little bit. Now, last time I explained that I have requested through the it was the district attorney for the B County area. There's several counties up there that they have the district attorney. And then through the Texas Attorney General's office, Texas Auditor's office, and I have informed some other agencies around that I've requested those that investigation of nepotism at Coastal Bend College. Now, the reason that I got involved with this, folks, was the firing of one of the best PhD nursing instructors and so forth. She was director of nursing at Coastal Bend College, and a friend of mine. And you know, I learned long ago from my father, who was a superior, very highly decorated fighter pilot, World War II, Korea and Nam, and he said, if you've got friends, he said, be the best wingman that you can for that friend, which means that you don't leave your friends. And then also be the best tail gunner. Cover their butts, folks, okay? So when I get a friend that's treated unfairly and so forth and so on, and it's happened to me not only at Coastal Bend College now, but for several years in the past with Del Mar College and in other places, then I take great offense and take it personally when I have a friend of mine that's being misused, abused, and so forth and so on. I just don't tolerate that in my life. Okay, and that irritates the hell out of certain people, everyone except my friends. Okay, and those friends are think the same thing of me. If I get into a pickle somewhere, then they're going to be the first ones in there to try to cover my tail and stay on my wing until we've got things solved. All right, with that being said, okay, so we've had nepotism problems at Del Mar College before. I'll just start with that one and then get back to Coastal Bend. And this one still burns me up. We had a dean at the time who decided that he was going to marry his secretary, or a secretary in his area over there. He was promoted to the vice president of administration, business, finance, underwater basket weaving, popcorn popping, popsicle making, and everything else over there, but he was over the registrar's office where his new bride would reside. Now that's nepotism, folks, cut and dry. So rather than take care of that in what I thought would be a proper way, they just shifted the whole registrar's office over under the vice president of instruction and said, there, he's not in direct command of this gal that he's been with for quite some time and married. Okay. So it happens everywhere. And then another thing that happened at Del Mar College was we had a Board of Regents member. His wife is a nurse. She was going to teach at Del Mar College on an adjunct basis. That's, I guess, quote unquote, part-time. But there was a stink raised about that, and I've just reviewed the letter from the Texas Attorney General's office to, I think it was Carlos Valdez at the time, who was district attorney, and he said that no, that couldn't happen, that would be nepotism. So that a wife of a board member was unable to teach at Del Mar College. Okay? So it doesn't necessarily fit. Equity is not a term that's known far and wide, not only at Del Mar College, but apparently Coastal Bend. It seems to be a plague in community colleges these days. Okay? There are a lot of similarities. Del Mar College terminated a PhD nursing faculty member, and then turned around and finds out that my friend PhD nursing director of nursing actually was with Coastal Bend, was fired, so it was a bad year for PhD nurses, I guess. I don't understand why. Okay? Now, let me get back to Coastal Bend. Last show, I did go ahead and I defined nepotism. Okay? Straight out of the dictionary. Nepotism, favoritism in appointment to a job based on kinship. And then I went ahead and said what kinship means. That's the quality or state of being kin. Okay? And then kin, according to the dictionary, is a group of persons of common ancestry. Now what we've got at Coastal Bend College was we had a lady, PhD, I think she's some form of psychology. She applied for the presidency of Coastal Bend College a few years ago. And then it wasn't too long after that that she put out an ad for a Dean of Workforce, was the name of the thing. Now I went up there and pulled, or had them pull under Public Information Act request, all of those documents that were involved in the hiring of not only the president, but also her sister, it comes to find out, who is now the Dean of Workforce. Okay? And then I understand the Dean of Workforce hired her daughter as a secretary or somebody in her office. Now folks, that's directly opposed to nepotism laws as far as I can tell. Now I'm not an attorney. Thank goodness. I'd go out and I think I'd shoot myself if I were. And I'm not trained that way. I can't just go ahead and take sides and whatever, you know, is right, wrong, or whatever otherwise does not mean a damn thing to anybody as long as you got that check coming in for attorney fees. Okay? I don't have a real high opinion of many attorneys, particularly the ones that are using Del Mar College and Coastal Bend College as cash cows. Okay? They prey on the fact that these administrators mainly don't have a clue as to what they're doing, so they hire these attorneys to take care of them. And then they have the unmitigated gall, which is what happened at Del Mar College when I was a party to asking for the reason why a person that filed a Public Information Act request for certain financial information at Del Mar College, which is public money, folks. It's your money, okay? And it's public information, what they're doing with it. I found out that that's not necessarily true. But the bottom line is, when we asked for that justification and who came up with $26.7 million estimate for the cost of those financial records that was going to take 120 some odd years to procure and so forth, I would think they'd be right on the tip of everybody's tongue over there and readily available. It astounded me. It astounded Channel 6 here locally, KRIS. They had several shows that were filmed on that. But now the Attorney General came back with a ruling that says that if on these internal emails that we were after to find out who in the world, a Del Mar College employee, formulated $26.7 million, and in my mind it was just to discourage that person from obtaining public records. And Del Mar College in the past is famous for that. I can prove that. I've got files and files full of Public Information Act requests that I've filed, And, you know, they just try to throw these stumbling blocks in front of you. Now, folks, that's your tax money that opens the doors on that institution over there. They say they get tuition money from students. Well, tuition money shouldn't be going to cover-ups like that either. All right, so that was stuck in my craw. And that one just came out again on Channel 6 this past week, that discussed with certain investigators over there as to why in the world taxpayers can't get public information. Okay, it's called, and it's termed, attorney-client privilege. Now, let me put it to you this way. I'm going to say this one more time, and I'll get back to the garbage going on at Coastal Bend College. Now, I pay taxes through the nose to the feds, the state, county, through my property taxes, and I've got taxes I have to pay because of the property I own here for Del Mar College. So I consider that most of the money, let's say at least 80 to 90% of the money that comes into Del Mar College is taxpayers' money. Okay? Now, as a taxpayer, I think I have the full right and privilege to find out who's screwing up over there in the with the financial department at Del Mar College. I mean, I truly believe that, folks. You know, if somebody's fouling it up and writing off, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I think from 2007 until 2014, not quite the end of this year, Del Mar College had written off for bad debts $2,838,000 and some odd dollars. Now that's a hell of a lot of money, folks. Okay, that's one hell of a lot of money when you consider that their budgets are $70 to $80 million a year. Okay, where's that money going? Where does it go? That was the question. So in order to find out, then a person who requested that, and I tried to help him as much as I could. He's a CPA, Mr. Ed Bennett. He ran for the Board of Regents, and you people didn't see the value in having a CPA over there protecting your money. Then, which is, you know, get off your butts and vote is all I can say. Learn who's doing what with whom, and not just a bunch of glad-handers. So anyway, here we sit, and as far as I'm concerned as a taxpayer, I'm the one that's paying these slick attorneys over there to try to cover all this crap up. I'm also paying for the attorneys at the Texas Attorney General's office. And it just burns me up that I can't get anything done, and they keep saying, well, it's client-attorney privilege, okay, or attorney-client privilege. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I pay for Del Mar College. I pay for the people who are screwing up over there, and I've got a vested interest in that, so I think that's my tax money. So I am the client when these attorneys go over there and bill us fabulous amounts of money every month to take care of the screw-ups by the Del Mar College administration. Okay? I'm just being blunt with you. Okay? Then, when I found out that Dr. Eloisa Garcia was being fired for some insane reason up there that she had already worked out when she hired onto the job, and then they decided that no, that's not really what it said. They interpret the English language up there, and they just flat-ass fired her for no reason whatsoever, except she was trying to keep her certification, nursing certifications, up to date by state and federal law. Okay? And that was a plus, those designations, to the nursing program at Coastal Bend College. And then they have almost as many blockheads on their board of trustees as we have blockheads on our board of regents here at Del Mar College. I mean, why you people elect these fools, it's beyond me. I just don't understand what's going on. All right, so let's get back to nepotism at Coastal Bend College. Now, I'm also aware of a group that's called Rebuild Coastal Bend College. It's a group of current and former Coastal Bend employees that have had a belly full of this nepotism and being pushed around and so forth and so on at Coastal Bend College. So my hat's off to you fine folks, and I hope that I'm helping you along by requesting investigations into the nepotism that occurred at Coastal Bend College. Now, by nepotism, here's what I'm talking about. Nepotism is when someone in authority, and I would think that the president of Coastal Bend College would fit that bill, over all the employees and so forth, faculty members and so forth at Coastal Bend, when they hire a family member, especially as close to them as a sister, then that is flat nepotism, folks. You don't do that. That woman, the one that's the dean of workforce, is under the direct supervision of the president, as are every single employee of Coastal Bend College. Okay? So it's not hard for me to understand, being a non-attorney, and again, thank goodness for that. All right, then I don't know how more clear-cut that can be. Now, I went up there prior to Dr. Garcia being terminated up there, and I went through and asked for some records and so forth. I wanted the hiring folders and all the hiring information for the president up there. And also, I wanted to see all of the hiring activities that went on for her sister. Now, I haven't seen the hiring activities because I'm led to believe now, I need to confirm it myself through Public Information Act request, that the Dean of Workforce hired her daughter as an employee of her particular office up there. Okay. Now, if that's not nepotism, I'll write Webster's College Dictionary and tell them they've got it all wrong. Okay, so I hope you program that. Now, what I did was, the primary request of mine for an investigation was sent to the district attorney of B County and the other counties that are involved in that jurisdiction. Okay, and I hand-delivered that on December 29th, which I think, to the best of my recollection, was a Monday, to that office in Beeville. And then the next day, a letter was written by that district attorney, and it stated that he could not investigate misdemeanors. It has to be a felony. All right. So here's the letter that I got back from him. Okay. I think I've got it right here. Well, maybe I put it, I think I must have separated it out so I could find it and read it for you. Okay. But when that happened, he wrote me back, and this is Jose Aliseda, A-L-I-S-E-D-A. I hope that's the right pronunciation. And he said, Mr. Sansing, this letter is to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated December 29, 2014. I have reviewed the allegations in your letter, and I am of the opinion that you allege no felonies have been committed. The allegations regarding government code nepotism violations are misdemeanors, and then he sent me an exhibit explaining that. Okay. I have no jurisdiction over misdemeanors. Accordingly, I am forwarding your letter to Mr. Michael Knight, the B County Attorney. Now, the B County Attorney can investigate misdemeanors. And that was dated the next day on December 30th. So I do appreciate the gentleman, the district attorney up there, being honest with me and sending me that information. Okay. Now, as far as the code goes, it's the government Texas Code 573 and all of its subchapters there. Okay. And it says removal in general. Now, this is what happens. This is one of the cures for nepotism, somebody committing nepotism. An individual who violates subchapter C or section 573.062b shall be removed from the individual's position. The removal must be made in accordance with the removal provisions in the Constitution of this state, if applicable. If a provision of the Constitution does not govern the removal must be by a quo warranto proceeding. And then B, it says a removal from a position shall be made immediately and summarily by the original appointing authority if a criminal conviction against the appointee for a violation of subchapter C or section 573.062b becomes final. If the removal is not made within 30 days after the date the conviction becomes final, the individual holding the position may be removed under subsection A. Okay? And that's by the quo warranto proceedings. Yeah. So it states very clearly in all of this information that I have obtained what constitutes nepotism. I've read the dictionary. I did learn to read when I was in the first grade. That was back in the old days where you didn't have a choice. You couldn't sit around and say, oh me, you know, this is something horrible and you're picking on me and I need to go watch my TV set and play games and I'll have my mom and dad come over here and beat you up and so forth and so on, which is the norm today, unfortunately. Okay? Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm also have sent the request to, like I say, the Texas Attorney General's office, and I've sent it to the auditor's office, both of which can become involved in that, along with the B County Attorney, Mr. Knight. So I'm just going to sit and wait and see what happens. Now also I'm going to request another round of documents from Coastal Bend College under Public Information Act request, and I know I'm preempting this. This will be on YouTube in the not too distant future, and you know, it comes out before it comes out on the cable access channel 10 here in Corpus Christi. I just go ahead and put it on the YouTube so that I can get things done. Okay? Now, so that's stuck in my craw. Okay? Now another thing that disturbs me, okay, how much is Coastal Bend, their taxpayers up there, part of which when they get state funds and federal funds and so forth, that comes out of my pocket as a taxpayer also. So I don't have to be a taxpayer in the district up there, the Coastal Bend College District, directly as a property owner. I have the vested interest in state monies and federal monies and any other monies that are taxpayer origin that go into that particular institution. And you know, since I'm a taxpayer, why can't I find out what the attorneys are uncovering up there? Okay. Now also the fact that people had communications to formulate the $26.7 million estimate here at Del Mar College, that's not a quote criminal investigation. There's no lawsuit that's been filed, and I don't know how they can claim confidentiality, client-attorney privilege under those circumstances. So I'm going to present that whole can of worms to the Texas Attorney General's office and tell them that I oppose what they have proposed, okay, by sending that letter to Mr. Bennett. It ain't over yet, folks. You know, this just, it gets my hackles up, so to speak. I get a little bit perturbed. See, I don't get mad, I get even. Okay, now, so, I don't know. What can I say about all that mess, okay? All right, now, then we'll get back into, if I think of anything else up there at Coastal Bend. Well, let me just reiterate what happened to Dr. Garcia. Okay, she in good faith applied for the directorship of the nursing programs at Coastal Bend College, and I think she started in August of 2013. I guess that would be. Okay. Now they hired her, and she was very, very upfront and forthcoming with the fact that her family nurse practitioner certificate, which she possesses, which means she can practice a certain level of nursing up there, along with her doctorate in nursing. Then what happened was, that is a great bit of how do I put that? It benefits the programs, the nursing programs at Coastal Bend immensely to have somebody with her background and her credentialing as the director. Okay, that goes a long way to success of those programs. Now, they have 4 locations for their various nursing programs. They have the main one there at Coastal Bend in Beeville, And then they've got a satellite campus in Pleasanton. There's a satellite in Alice, and then there's a satellite in Kingsville. And Dr. Garcia spent a lot of time on the roads making sure that those people at those various locations got what they needed. And I know that she spent a lot of time driving after her quote-unquote working hours, and spent a lot more than any 40 hours a week taking care of that. If there were problems on the weekend, she'd go in and handle that, okay? And if there were reports due, she'd stay up at night and put them in. And one of the most conscientious individuals I know as far as academics goes, and you know, a great family person and so forth and so on. Now, because she had a little run-in with the sister of the president, the dean of workforce, then that dean of workforce wrote up a very derogatory assessment of her and evaluation of her. And then they wanted to try to get rid of her, and they did. Okay, I think it's still false, and that can of worms still doesn't have a lid on it yet. It ain't over yet, as far as I can tell. But what happened after that is they went back and said, you know, you were taking 2 days a month off and working in a clinic locally, practicing nursing at a very high level, at the family nurse practitioner level, and you're getting paid by that clinic to do that. And she said, yes, I am. I cleared that when I was very upfront and forthright up front in the when the hiring process, and it was never explicitly written in typed in her contract, but it was stated in handwriting and signed off as, that's fine, we'd like to have you here, that's going to be a good thing for us to have you with that certification for our credentialing, and go for it. Well, that was used as a ploy to say that she was double dipping and that she was being paid for the same time that she was at Coastal Bend College. Okay? Now, I think that's a bit on the sleazy side, to be totally honest with you. And then when the Board of Trustees had to make a decision on that, they had a couple of new trustees that questioned the verbiage on that. Was that in the contract or not? Did everybody know it or not? And they were overridden and voted over by the people who are the president's best buddies up there, and some people that I don't think, you know, could find their way to the bathroom with the lights on. I mean, I'm not impressed with that trustees up there, many of which are not educators and so forth and so on. There's an attorney on that has a past that I won't get into, and I think she used to be the county attorney or a district attorney around there or whatever, and she's about as arrogant and as anyone I've seen, almost as arrogant as the president of Coastal Bend College. I mean, you know, just stuck up folks, just think that they know everything. And it's the, and I put this in writing, I call her the president, her name is Beatrice Espinosa, and I call her the Queen Bee up there of the old B County College, okay? Now, it's now Coastal Bend College. So the Queen Bee is up there, you know, with that board of trustees. She's actually a member of that board according to their records that I could find up there. And they're just going to do anything, they, meaning the other trustees, except 2 or 3 of them now, I think, that are very concerned about what happened, and they were overridden. They wanted to make some arrangement with Dr. Garcia to salvage a termination, but that did not work, okay? And I used the term termination. They just flat fired her, folks. I mean, that was it. And it was all political. It was all inside. And, you know, I sat through those hearings and I could tell my skin was crawling with the untruths that were told, with an awful lot of that. And it ain't over. Okay. Now, so then they just, that's the reason that they did it, because she didn't like it. Now, why is a person who is non-PhD, okay, got a background in some mundane subject, I think at the master's level, well, like this dean up there. And how is she able to sit there as the dean of workforce and evaluate PhDs and directors and so forth when she hasn't got the qualifications to do that? Now, you know, I mean, that's just a power play, because whatever she did, President's sister, the Queen Bee up there, is going to cover her butt no matter what she does. So they can just at will abuse people, and they have. Dr. Garcia is not the only one. I sat there and watched them essentially terminate several other very tried and true, long-standing faculty members at Coastal Bend College, and it just made my skin crawl, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that everybody up there that was involved with those things needs their day of reckoning, and I'm going to do everything I can to help those people, as well as Dr. Garcia, obtain that day of reckoning. Okay? It makes me throw up when I think about what I saw up there. It just made my skin crawl. Okay? So that's the reason people have asked me, why are you calling for these investigations? Well, it just isn't fair, folks. They duped her. Dr. Garcia and several other people up there, some very good ones. So then, another thing that stuck in my craw, I have talked to people up there at Beeville and at Coastal Bend College, and there is a person who is a faculty member at Coastal Bend College. Okay, he's also a police officer around there. I think he works for the sheriff's office or something like that. And his last name is Behr, B-E-H-R, okay? And he carries this little stuffed bear, and on the front page of the Beeville Bee-Picayune newspaper that came out Saturday, December 27th, there's about a third of a page picture of him in a patrol car holding that little bear, okay? And it says, "This bear is more than a stuffed animal. It is a reminder to Kevin Behr of the good that a deputy can do." I think he's a deputy sheriff for Bee County. Okay? And then it goes on to quote him on all this other stuff. Now, I have unsubstantiated, I'll be totally, I don't have affidavits signed, but I will be totally honest with you. I've talked to some people when he was teaching classes at Coastal Bend College, that if he were out on patrol and then was going to go in and teach his class, if something happened and he had to work for the sheriff's office up there, then he had the posting on his classroom doors stating very clearly that the students needed to be dismissed and he'd see you next time. Okay? Now, what's the difference between getting clearance up front for 2 days a month to go practice your nursing techniques and so forth and maintain a certification as a family nurse practitioner, and getting paid by that clinic for that time, and then not getting paid for all the extra time that you're filling out forms, you're traveling the big circuit from Beeville to Pleasanton to Alice to Kingsville and back? I mean, that's not an insignificant trip, folks. And on your private time, and then having them fire you for that because they got a little bit horsey with you. You said something about the poor evaluation and so forth, and nobody could substantiate that poor evaluation. And as far as I know, I don't think the Dean of Workforce ever went into her classroom, never went to her office, and was not firsthand advised and didn't talk to people who knew how professional Dr. Garcia actually is. Okay? So I smell a rat up there, a bunch of dead ones, folks. It stinks up there. So I'm going to do everything in my power, including airing this show, to indicate. And then I have indication that there's some other full-time employees up there at Coastal Bend College that are full-timers at other institutions. And maybe not of higher education, but maybe a clinic or a hospital or something up there. So I'm putting all the pieces together, and I'm going to go ahead and set that on the air when I get to it. And then I'm going to talk to a bunch of people that were unceremoniously and unjustly relieved of their positions at Coastal Bend College, and I'm going to go to work with Public Information Act request in an investigation and find out what that's all about. Okay? So, if you're listening up there, Miss Cynthia Cano and Mr. Philip McKinney, then I've dealt with you two attorneys before, so if you want to test my mettle, then let's get on with it. Okay? Then I think on the last show, another thing that really burns me up, this came out on December 28th in our local paper. It was Associated Press release. It says Perry aides get plum jobs, and I think I read this to tell you that all of his people that were near and dear to him and put him into the political arena around town up there. Then what happened was he, all these members of his staff and so forth, his cabinet, so to speak, are getting all the plum jobs around the state with various other government entities and probably a private industry here or there. Okay, so that was very uplifting. Now that doesn't surprise me because I've had to deal with Perry's nonsense before. I hope you people aren't crazy enough if he runs for president to even qualify that he is running. He's anti-education, and he's for all the business buddies of his, and you can get a plum job if you ever worked for him and you were up there kissing his patootie and doing his bidding. Okay, so Mr. Perry, I hope that the fleas from 1,000 camels infest your armpits, okay? And that you don't waste everybody's time with another oops if you decide to run for the presidency. If you don't know any more about government than that, then I can't, I don't know. I know with your degree in animal science, I've read your transcripts, I'm not impressed with that either. So anyway, I'll leave that sleeping dog lie. I'll saddle that horse later, no pun intended. Okay. So my question is, and I'm going to find out, I do on a regular basis at Delmar. I'm going to switch back to Delmar College, and I'm going to do the same thing at Coastal Bend. I'm going to start asking for the billings of the attorneys for these various programs. I want to know how much Coastal Bend College taxpayers, and since it's state money, I join in with that. But I'm going to find out how much these attorneys are billing Coastal Bend College, and for what. I want to know item by item. They have to tell the hiring entities, the ones that they're billing, what the bill's for, how many tenths of an hour on the telephone, and essentially what that billing was all about. Now I've noticed since I've done that at Delmar, they say, oh, it was 5 hours discussing employment problems at Delmar College. It used to be who was involved in that and what they were talking about, but now it's so generic that I don't think the Pope could figure it out. Okay, so I'm learning, but I'm going to keep the pressure up. And I will tell you that Mr. McKinney, who's a CBC attorney up there, or does work for them, also did work for the insurance companies here that insured Delmar College, and there were some tiffs there, and I remember Mr. McKinney sitting in the audience during several of the court cases going on around here for concerning various people and so forth. I'm not impressed with the man, and then I know that we had the termination of a PhD nurse down here, Dr. Janelle Bennett. It's been going on. That started a couple of 3 years ago, and one of our presidents, Dr. Mark Escamilla's buddies from the past, Dr. Cynthia Cano, was involved with that dismissal hearing and so forth. And I heard some things preached in that made my hair stand on end. And I did ask him one time when they had me on the witness stand in Dr. Bennett's case, I said, do you really, Miss Cano, think I'm that damn stupid that I can't figure out what's going on around here with some of the billings and some of the paperwork? And I think that ruffled her feathers a little bit. But now she's up there consulting with and doing work for Coastal Bend College. I understand that she's rewriting a bunch of policies up there. She considers herself to be an employment expert, employment law, and I think she's also claiming now that she's a academic attorney, and so I don't mean an academician, but you know, a college attorney and so forth. She knows the finer arts of educational law and so forth. I don't think she really knows much of anything. Myself, that's my personal view. Okay, that's not slander, it's not libel, it's not anything else. That is strictly my opinion from observations directly of her conducting that dismissal hearing for one Dr. Janelle Bennett. Okay, and she's a buddy of the president, and now she's up there stirring it at Coastal Bend. Now, if she is changing policies and rewriting policies without the direct input from any faculty members up there, like the faculty senate that they have that's comparable to our faculty council here at Del Mar, then I think that all the faculty members up there need to rise up and say, we're not having this, folks. We're not having the Queen Bee up here direct the attorneys to rewrite policies to suit whatever they want to do up there. Okay, so I'm just alerting everybody on rebuild Coastal Bend College and you taxpayers up there, and hopefully the word's around now that I've been on Coastal Bend's back with this show, and maybe some of the Board of Regents members or Board of Trustees members up there will take a peek at this. And if you want me to answer any questions for you fine folks, then all you have to do is contact me. I don't need to go through an attorney to do it, and neither do you. Okay? So if you want my information that I've got, my CD with all of those documents that I took pictures of back in, I guess it was January and February of 2014, then all you have to do is let me know, and I'll be more than happy to share those with you. In fact, I think the person that put those documents together, okay, and some of them were withheld from me for different reasons, okay, but I'll give you all the correspondence with that, and all you have to do is call the person that provided those to me. She's over in the library over there at the main campus in Beeville. Then just ask her. I'm sure she's still got that stack of documents there. And then I've got them on CD if you'd like to see the photo. I took a photograph of every one of them. So if you want to know what I've done, any of you Board of Regents members up there, Board of Trustees, then you can contact me at sansing@gmail.com, or you can call me at cell phone at 442, it's area code 361-442-6501, and I'm real easy to find, okay? Or you can email me at Del Mar College with that system there. I don't use my email at Del Mar for anything except reviewing internal emails and so forth. I don't use it to go online for anything. I don't search information, which I should do using their computers and network, and not mine, but I keep mine strictly at arm's length, and I don't use that email address for diddly if it's not directly something that's sent to me, or someone that asked me for a direct communication with them as a Del Mar College employee. So I'm not going to play that game. You know, it's too easy to have people say, oh, he's over there buying and selling stocks, or he's over here, you know, ordering fur-lined hats for winter and so forth and so on. I don't do that. That would cost the taxpayers money. All right, we have just had elections for the Del Mar College Board of Regents, and what has happened is we had one of the at-large members that was voted back in. That's the man that I tried to help 6 years prior to this, and I was able to help have him on the board. He's been a very large disappointment to me, okay? And he's back on the board. So I try to avoid any conversations with him. I'm very disappointed in his actions around, not only with that, but politically around here also. And then we had a person, her name is Carol Scott, and her husband is a member of the City Council of Corpus Christi, Texas. And let me just give you a little connection that I think is applicable to Del Mar and Coastal Bend. Okay? Now, it seems that since there's no tenure possibilities, no system in place for tenure at Coastal Bend College. I'm not sure they ever had it up there, but I think someone mentioned it used to be, but the Board of Trustees decided that they, you know, if somebody got out of line or they had a troublemaker, they'd make it a lot easier just to fire them with a one-year renewing contract. And that's what they've been doing. And there's not a whole lot that a decent faculty member can do if the Dean of Workforce gets crossways and evaluates you, even though she doesn't know what she's talking about. As far as I can tell, I've read a couple of evaluations up there. Then they just go ahead and terminate you. You're fired. Okay, you're non-renewed on your contract. Now, this woman, Carol Scott, owns a public relations firm. Her husband is on the city council. Every time a major corporation shows interest in coming to Corpus Christi, Texas, and building a large facility or moving in to do this, that, and the other, then all of a sudden that woman winds up as being their public relations firm. So since her husband, a city councilman, Mr. Scott, okay, he knows what's going on, Mark Scott, then he alerts I guess his wife, and she contacts that company, and they say, oh, well, this is going to be good, we've got a public relations firm down there. So as far as I'm concerned, that's I don't think it's just kosher. I'll put it to you in terms that of my upbringing. It's not kosher, folks. All right, now I'm afraid that now that she has been voted in on the Del Mar College Board of Regents, then what she's going to do is do the same thing she did when she was the president of the Corpus Christi Independent School District. Is they went from a 3-year teacher contract down to a 1-year, okay? And that was to get rid of, quote, troublemakers, all right? Now, I think the reason that the other Board of Regents members, and we've got some real politically stout ones here from our area here in Corpus Christi, then I think the reason that they wanted her on the board is she's going to probably be the ramrod to go after the tenure process at Del Mar College. Now, tenure doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot if you really step out of line as a faculty member. But what it does, it protects a person who's been there for a certain amount of time and has got certain recommendations from their peers and from the administration and so forth, that they're going to keep you there unless something really happens, like we just plain flat don't have any students left in that discipline, we don't have any money left, or whatever, okay? So that's the purpose of it. But I think that Del Mar College is going to try the same thing that they have at Coastal Bend College, and that's let's get rid of tenure, and then that way, if it's a yearly renewing contract, we can just get rid of these troublemakers. And you're looking at the #1 troublemaker, I think, right now at Del Mar College. And frankly, Scarlett, okay, I've requested to be fired before, and nobody stepped up to the plate and done it. Okay, and I just had a round. I'm going to talk about a mold problem we have down here, and so forth and so on. So, you know, that's it's crazy. Now, another thing I wanted to flash at you real quick here was there's an accounting firm that does the financial statements and so forth, reviews the finances of Coastal Bend College. It's Patillo or Patillo, I don't know if that's Italian or whether it's Hispanic name, Brown Hill LLP. They're certified public accountants and business consultants. They just wrote a letter to the Board of Trustees at Coastal Bend College dated December 19, 2014. I happen to have a copy of this, and the report was the report up through August 31st, 2014. And you read through this, I think it's 8 or 9 pages, and it really shocks me, folks. So I think what happens is it's 7 pages. They must have the same people in charge of their business and finance up there at Coastal Bend that we have here at Del Mar College, because we've got some real massive problems down here with bookkeeping and so forth, taking care of the public money. And that's what my buddy CPA, Mr. Ed Bennett, and I are trying to get to the bottom of. Okay, so if you know anything about it, and then like I say, we got the nepotism up there, so I hope that Board of Trustees has a real good year up there, trying to straighten all that garbage out. Then I had some articles here in the Caller Times. This is more CCISD, the ISDs around here, but it's sour grapes, and this goes back to getting rid of not so good teachers. Now I think that's what Mrs. Scott was up to at one time, because you know, they went and cut the contracts from 1 year to 3. Now, as a taxpayer and an educator, if I had known when I applied to Del Mar College, when I left in the industrial research business and wanted to relax and try the teaching out and so forth, come down here to South Texas along the coast. My whole family originally was from Bay City, Texas, and I remember fishing down at Matagorda with my granddad and going offshore with him and so forth and so on when we could make it in for a couple of weeks in the summertime for visiting. And that was my main motivation coming down here. But if they had not had a tenure process at Del Mar College and offered me that system, then I would have said, no way, I'm not going to go into any place where I have a 1-year renewing contract. I'm better than that, and I want to make sure that the institution that hires me thinks a little bit more of faculty members, and then we'll just get rid of you. We don't like the color of your hair. You know, you spit on the sidewalk twice in a month, so we're just going to terminate you for some mundane thing. I'm not buying into that, folks. Okay? But this is mostly about the districts around. It says system protects teachers, not students. So, by the numbers, 21 teachers who have received settlement agreements at Corpus Christi school districts in 5 years. 3,200 total teachers in this city. 7, the number of TEA investigations. That's the Texas Education Association. 875 number of open TEA investigations pending, and 375,000 is the number of teachers in Texas. Now I don't know what that's got to do to this, but the bottom line is, here we've got Miss Rhiannon Myers, who I think has gone from the Caller Times now, wrote this, and it says that teachers who face accusations of sexual misconduct, cheating on tests, or other serious allegations remain in the possession or profession because school districts allow them to resign instead of firing them to avoid potential legal battles. Okay? Well, that's not true. That's horse feathers, folks. They're going to pull attorneys in here and pay them big bucks no matter what happens. They don't even go and drink a Coca-Cola without an attorney's opinion on that, and probably a very high amount of money for those opinions. Okay? Now, after that came out on the October 10th of this year, the editorial here was, there has to be a better way to get rid of bad teachers. Yeah, there is, folks. Just say, here are the rules, here are the evaluations that we're going to run on you during the year, and if you do not live up to expectations with a group of your peers along with the administration, then we are not going to renew your contract. It's just that simple, okay? Now, these districts are scared to death, and I've had this happen. What you do is you have a disgruntled student, they go get their parents or an attorney, they come in and threaten you with a lawsuit, and what does the institution of higher learning do? They go ahead and waffle and say, oh, we don't want this bad press and this lawsuit going on, so we're just going to settle with them, okay? And then we'll let the little urchins get whatever they want. Now that's essentially what happened at a higher level with Dr. Janelle Bennett. 3 students complained, and there was not enough backbone over there in that nursing program to back her up, and you know, it got out of hand, and there were a lot of untruths told by Del Mar College, and that is not over yet, folks. Okay, I can guarantee you that. So for all you people that don't watch, that you just turn the TV on for your dogs and your cats to give them some noise, then you know, they'll be buzzing on the airways as soon as this thing goes on the air. Because I don't lie, I don't have to. Okay. Now there are a lot of other things going on at Del Mar that just curl my hair. I'm going to talk about one of them just to give you an example of what I have to do around here. And I have to write some real nasty and, as I'm told, harsh emails to the administration over here when I see something wrong. And most of these administrators over there don't think I know anything about what I'm talking about when I blow the lid off of some of these massive problems they've got. And the reason I blow the lid off of those massive problems, folks, is number one, I'm trying to protect the health and welfare of either a faculty member, student, or other employees of Del Mar College. And I've got an awful lot of friends over there because I've always backed them up, and I'm always willing to go to bat for them. Okay, I'll go into the middle of a battle for them if they're right and the administration is wrong. Okay, much to the chagrin of Del Mar College administration. Now, in a nutshell, what happened? I had some people in a newer building, the business building on campus, on the 3rd floor, and they were having severe allergic reactions to something. So I said, well, I'll bet you what happened, since I come in and on your desktops in the morning and on the top of the computers and the keyboards and everything else up there on the 3rd floor and on your carpet, there are these big wads of nasty looking material. So I took it upon myself to analyze that. I went over and I stained some of that stuff. I microscopically examined that. I cultured it out on various types of growth media, and I've been doing that professionally for, Lord, well over 40 years, folks, and I know what I'm doing. Okay, it's nothing new to me. And I shut down my mold testing business on the side several years ago because the state of Texas wanted me to obtain 6 licenses for things that I could do in a 15-minute period of time. Okay, and then they said that I would have to send them my transcripts with a PhD in microbiology, along with master's and degree in microbiology, and a PhD and a master's degree in biochemistry, mostly microbial biochemistry. And then I would have to send those in, and they would go ahead and evaluate that and see if that was equivalent to a bachelor's degree in biology, which meant I didn't have to go back and take all these rinky-dink classes in Tampa, Florida, these 3-day instant mold expert, microbiology expert, and so forth, to satisfy the state. So I just told him, very bluntly, I told the man when he told me that, I said, go straight to hell, I'm not interested. Okay, if you want to ruin the mold testing business in this state, then you go ahead and do it. That's the quickest way I know of. All right, I didn't bother to tell him I also had a bachelor's degree. But I've raised unmitigated hell, and then just recently I went up to that building to see one of the women that's having severe allergic reactions to the mold up there, and the company that was supposed to clean out the AC vents, it took me a year to convince them that they needed to do that before they got their butts sued off for unsafe facilities over there for their employees. And then we've got both the collegiate college students running around, other faculty members. So I blew the lid off of that one, and I went over there yesterday morning, and all that stuff had been cleaned up. So, you know, I guess I ought to thank somebody for that, but you know, I have to get harsh and nasty to get any of that stuff done. So I've got about 50 seconds left. I'm going to go ahead and put the banner back on and give you the last final little talk. Be right back. Okay, I think I'm recording again. I've got about 40 seconds left here. Please note, this is December the 4th. It's on a Sunday of 2015. Happy New Year to all you people out there. And we're going to have some good times on this. I've also got the fact that this is available on YouTube. Just put in Gerald Sansing when you get into YouTube, and these shows will come up. You can pick the one that you want. There's several different of the past shows on there, including the latest ones. And then you can reach me at gsansing@gmail.com anytime you've got a comment. So I'm going to go ahead and let this thing run out for a little bit, and I'll be back with you next week.